Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Sunday, and hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. Good to see you. Weekend, and hopefully you're gearing up for the week. Can you believe we're about to hit Christmas in 29 days? I don't know about you. When do you put up your tree? When's a good time to put up a tree? I'm gonna go get a tree this week. I was gonna get one this weekend. I didn't have a time to do it. So this week I'm gonna get my tree. So and let's get on with tonight. I have an interesting topic for you tonight. Sundays I get all mushy on you, maybe at times, but I was reading and thinking at the same time. And, we try so hard. I feel like some of us, oftentimes, we try so hard to convince other people of us in general. And what I mean by that is like who we are, what we choose to do, what kind of a crowd we decide to hang around with, what kind of a career move we like to take on, the challenges we decide to take on. Sometimes, especially if you have some close ones to you, right? Those are the times where you would feel like you really want to convince this person, if you're joining me live, let me know you're here because I don't know who's here, who's not, unless you comment or throw some hearts or something. It's weird because I used to be able to tell who's here, but now I can't. But yeah, so we try to convince, right? Like, no, I'm doing the right thing. Trust me, or I'm going with the right person. You gotta believe me on this. And regardless of your decision, the convincing is almost like always there. You know what I mean? You're almost always trying to convince. Now, I would like to say there are times that you take it up to 10, right? You're just going full force on convince mode. Maybe you're trying to sell a product, or maybe you're I don't know, maybe you're trying to go on a date and you're trying really hard, you're just going full force, 10. And sometimes you're just kind of cruise control and you're like maybe one or two and you're not really on the convince mode, but it's there, right? It comes and goes. Now, I titled this here's the reason why you just can't do it, can't convince anybody. And then I said, wait, there may be a way though, right? So what I want to share with you is this. When I started doing my lives, I said I'm not going to talk about three things, which means I'm not going to push or um, shove these in your faces, these three things. I'm not going to be your source for news and all this stuff, so religion and that stuff, but you all know my faith. So being a Christian, right, a born again Christian, um, you think about like you read the Bible, you think about this stuff, and you're like, here I am trying to like convince, you know, hey, maybe in my situation, let's say, Bob, what is up? How are you, man? Welcome. Good to see you. Well, what a topic you're joining me on. So being a Christian, right? Read the Bible, you study, and I'm getting more in the Word now. I've told you this before, but you start thinking, you're like, here I am trying to convince. In my situation, I'm just going to give you my situation. Let's say I'm trying to convince people that network marketing is great and this platform is amazing, it can change your life, all this stuff. I'm trying to convince, right? That may be one thing. I may be even convincing some people that Christianity is amazing and Jesus is the Lord and all this stuff. I may be trying to convince, right? here's the reason why that's not gonna work ever. And I kind of thought about that like today. You know why that's never gonna work? Because not even Jesus convinced everybody. Think about it. If Jesus were to convince everybody, then everybody would be a Christian and there would be no questions, about anything. Think about it for a second. Just forget about religion, okay? Take yourself out of religion and then put yourself there. Say, okay, Jesus didn't convince everybody. I mean, he only had 12 guys that were really convinced, right? So if Jesus, with being sinless and being Jesus, wasn't here to convince everybody, why are you and I doing our darnest to convince people of us, of who we are, of what we do, of our principles, of our morals, or no, you're wrong about me. No, that's not. No. Why? I was trying to think about that today, actually. Kind of hit me a little bit. I'm like, I don't really need to like try that hard in a lot of things with people. I shouldn't really try that hard to convince that, network marketing is great, to convince that this business is amazing, that our company is amazing, that our products is amazing, or that's the business, to convince, hey, I'm a great guy, I'm a nice guy, I'm this, I'm that, or hey, I'm on the right path. I shouldn't be convincing people left and right of things. In fact, like I said, if Jesus didn't come here to convince everybody, then why am I trying so hard? Have you thought about that? Listen, you may not believe in Jesus. You may believe in dirt, okay? Whatever, universe, whatever you believe in. Think about it. If whatever you believe in, let's say you believe in dirt, if dirt was to convince everybody, then everybody would be believing in dirt. And nobody else would be believing in anything else. We all would be believing in dirt. I mean, that's really the truth, right? So even dirt didn't try to convince everybody, even if that's what you believe in. Buddha didn't convince everybody because everybody would be Buddhist. Muhammad didn't do it. Nobody's done it. In fact, when you think about it, even the most evil of the people in the world, like Hitler, he didn't even convince everybody. So it makes you think, right? You're like, yeah. First of all, it's not possible. Two is why exhaust yourself so much over that, right? I really, really was thinking about that today in a different way, because it hit me in a different way. Because this is not something brand new. It's not like, oh my God, where did you pull this concept from? It's nothing new. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like I invented it. I just kind of realized that today. I'm like, wait a minute. Nope. Look, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Pope, Jesus, Muhammad, dirt, universe, whatever you believe in, hasn't convinced everybody. In fact, hasn't even tried to convince everybody. So based on that theory, let's just throw that out the window. You can't really convince, because there's in that word, there's like, you gotta like grab that person and, right? So if that's not gonna work, but I said, wait, there may be an actual way. Here's the way I think it may help. It's not that you're going to convince of your ways, of your this, of your that, but it may help, right? If the goal is for somebody to um, believe in your beliefs and principles and kind of walk your walk and walk in your footsteps, if you would, if that's kind of the goal, or if the goal is for them to just kind of buy into what you're sharing, if that's the convincing, right? If that's the concept, then there may be a way, and the way to do that is this. You know, convincing somebody is almost, it's got like a little bit of force in there, right? And it just doesn't sound really easy on the ear. It just doesn't sound very easy on your heart. It just like, convince me. Like, I just, you know, I don't know if I like, I don't think I've used that word. I don't remember like using that word in my thoughts, but here's a way that you could have people, let's say, go in your direction. And the best way to do it is this: live that life. That's it. Live that life. Live that life that somebody else, when they see it, they say, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like to live like that. You know, um, I've shared this with them personally, but I have two heroes in this business, if you would, and one is Ray Higdon, and the other one is John Melton. Shout out to both of them. These two are my heroes, right? So they live a lifestyle. They live a life that I look from the outside and I go, I kind of like to live like that. I do. I like to live like that, right? I like to have those principles. I like to have those morals. I like to have those practices, right? So they're not convincing me to live like them. Do you hear that? This is the major part. There's no convincing. They're not calling me. They're not at my front door. They're not convincing me. What they're doing, they're living that life. They live that life out loud. So when I look, I go, I like that. My question to you is, do you live a life like that? Do you live a life where people look and say, my gosh, I want to live like that? Do you have that life? If you do, then you need to be loud about it. And you probably are loud about it, not in a like a boasting ego way, but in a motivation, inspiring way, right? So if you do, then you should live it out loud. But if you don't, why don't you? Why don't you live a life that when people look, they say, I'd like to live like that? My question to you is, why don't you? And now, you may not want to answer me, and that's totally cool, but the one person you do have to answer to, and I think you should, is the guy or the gal in the mirror, right? And I've asked that question myself recently. That's kind of why I relaunched my business. I went through it. I mean, you guys know the story. But that's why I had to kind of do that, right? Because I want to live that life. I did a live in August, and somebody asked me, why do what do you want out of life, and why do you keep doing these lives? And one of the things I shared, and that's this message here, is I really want to live a life where people can look from the outside and say, oh, you know what, I really like that. I can do that too. I can live that life. You know, I like those principles. I like those morals. I like the way he does it. You know what I mean? I like that. I have that in Ray, and I have that in John, right? So they're not convincing me. This is a powerful thought. If you take it, like I said, you take it all the way to creation, all the way to the top, or wherever you take it, okay, wherever you take it. For me, I take it all the way to the top. And when you take it all the way to the top and you're like, you know what? The good Lord didn't come here to convince everybody. So why am I here like trying so, he only took, people followed him because they wanted to. People followed him because he lived the life that people said, oh, you know what, I like that. And that's what I'm sharing with you. Live that life. Is your life a life of examples or lessons? Do people see you and they say, oh, that's a lesson I learned and I'm not going to do that? Or do they see your life and they go, man, that's a great example. What a great example that person is. I want to live like that. Which life do you live? A life of examples or lessons? And the good thing is, you know, I shared this live on my 50th, on September 5th. And I said, you know what? The good news is you can switch, you can flip. If you've lived a life of lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson, because I've lived that life. Now it's time to live a life of examples. Now I want to live it, I want to flip, right? So the good news is, if you've lived that kind of a life where it's been just lesson after lesson after lesson, just, you know, you can flip the switch. And it's not about convincing. It's about living that life and being loud and proud about it. Not as, like I said, as an ego-based, but love-based, so that when somebody else sees it, they get inspired, they get motivated by your life, and they go and they try to what? Duplicate. Which, if we could do that, I think we would see less trouble in the world, right? So I hope you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from this. Would love to get your B Money. Where you at? B Money. Would love to get some of your feedback. Drop your thoughts, your feedback below, your love, your hate, whatever. Drop it below. Let this feed grow. And if you feel like this was worthy of sharing, do what you gotta do. Spread the love, baby. You know, tag a couple people, share it on your wall, and there we go. But yeah, I do want to take. I do want to. I do want to get a couple of thoughts, a couple of feedbacks from you guys with here, not like private here, about hey what I shared with you. So be nice to get that. And until tomorrow, when we do it all over again. Much love. I hope you do.